Hello and welcome to another episode of our Scornavacco Martial Arts Instructor Tip of the Week. This week we'll be talking to you guys about home practice, what your goals should be, and how important it is to make sure you have a home practice schedule. The truth of the matter is that martial arts, like many other undertakings, require a physical skill set that must be perfected in order to learn. Whether practicing martial arts, a musical instrument, or even just throwing a football through a tire, these are all activities that require a physical skill set that must be practiced so that the mind, and more importantly, the body can learn to do the motions and understand them. Above all else, this is the primary goal of home practice, is just to increase the body's physical ability to do the material. Some basic questions we often hear about home practice are: what should I practice? When should I practice? And how long should I practice? As well as the woes of not being able to find any time in the day to practice at home. We'll start with the what first. I'd like to say that students should practice anything and everything at home, as it is all important and should all be covered. However, that's a lot to take on when first starting a home practice routine. For people who don't know what to practice at home, forms serve as an excellent starting ground. Forms are very short sequences of basics put together in order to catalog an idea or work around a principle. These work very well for home practice because they are independent of a partner and can be worked through at one's own pace. Forms are an excellent way to practice basics at home, working on principles and concepts without having a body to work over. As forms progress in our system, eventually the forms will then start to incorporate techniques and their basic principles into the form itself, thereby giving you yet another avenue to practice both basic concepts and techniques as shown here in short form 3. However, even without a partner, techniques can and should be practiced at home. Some easy things to do this are to practice basic fundamental pieces of the technique while keeping the principle in mind. During class, all students learn the proper stances, weapons, and targets for their techniques, and these ideas can be applied with or without a partner. The physical execution will become better with a partner, but maintaining the principle can happen all by yourself. Whether working on stepping through reverse, working on your cat stance, even just setting up matching distance with your partner, checking your stances, correcting hand positions, any of these things can be done with or without a partner. A very simple way to work on stances and leg work in the technique is to isolate the legs and work only that piece of the material, especially if the footwork is something you feel like is troubling you. Then as you progress, you can slowly work the hands back in, one piece at a time, taking your time to make sure you have the sequence and understand what is being taught. An effective way to practice targeting is to use your own body as an index. Strikes to the neck should end the neck, shown incorrectly and then correctly here with Sword of Destruction. While this doesn't necessarily give you the physical ability to manipulate an opposing body or to put the forces into the strikes that are necessary, it does help maintain the principle and understand the lesson in the material. The final things to consider are when and how long to practice. When starting a home practice routine, a good habit to get into is reviewing material taught in class after going home that evening. This helps with retention and keeping the lesson solid so that material and curriculum is not lost between classes. Of course, as training goes on and more material is learned, more home practice is necessary than just simple retention of the day's lesson. And this is where the biggest problems with home practice start to happen. Either it is considered that the student does not have enough time, or the student is spending too much time practicing. Speaking frankly, if learning and mastering the martial arts and yourself is something you truly care for, you can't afford to not be practicing. However, practicing without a purpose or without a goal for extended periods of time can also be just as unproductive. For example, spending 20 minutes of time practicing and evaluating yourself, figuring out what you need to work on, where you can improve, and maybe questions to come back to the instructor with, is exponentially more useful than, say, an hour or an hour and a half of mindless repetition over the same material. I hope you found this video helpful. As always, thanks for watching. Next week we'll be talking about playing with your material, adding some variation to it, and spicing it up. I look forward to seeing you all there.